Hey, so thanks for joining me on to this weekend's adventure. We are up at Blue Lakes, Upper Lower Blue Lakes, Tamarack Lake, and Lost Lakes. This, where these lakes are at, is actually in Tanabe. I want to say Tanabe. Hopefully I'm saying it right. I just went and checked in. You can reserve campsites up here through PG&E, through their website. They only have a few that you can reserve, so I went ahead and reserved one just in case I couldn't find any, kind of good areas for dispersed camping. It's a little cool today, but we're gonna go down, try to do Lost Lakes or some of the little trails around here to check them out. Like I said, I heard Lost Lakes was pretty cool, and Tamarack Lakes. So anyway, happy Saturday to us. We're out here exploring more of the California Sierras. So let's go check it out. All right, so let's talk about where the Blue Lake chain is. So this is Lake Tahoe. And if you go south from Lake Tahoe, you kind of see all the markers here. The Blue Lakes are right off of 88. Now you can get to Upper Blue Lake, Lower Blue Lake, either coming off of 88 by Red Lake, through these off-road tracks, kind of snaking around the trail here, and then coming, from what I hear, is a very scenic overlook down into Upper Blue Lake. Now, we did check out this road from the lake itself, kind of going up, and you can see the change in elevation here. This road is rough. So it was just the two of us, so we were like, maybe next time. But we did come up around from the top to check it out, and it looked fine. So I think it's just one of those things. I personally like to take rougher roads, maybe going down, than I do coming up. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to get a couple people, and after Alice gets her upgrades, to kind of check this road out coming down, because I would like to see the Lost Lakes. This is Lost Lake up here, and there are some dispersed camping sites up here, and I hear it's really pretty. So we did check out the trails here. Now the other way you can get to Blue Lakes, and again, this was just a quick overnight trip, was we came down Blue Lakes Road from 88 down to the lower Blue Lakes. Now we did get a campsite here. You can reserve campsites through PG&E. There are some sites available, and there's also sites first come first serve. Now the weekend I was here, it was really cold and windy off of the lakes. So lower Blue Lake campground, you can get campsites like right within maybe 10 or 20 feet of the lake. Middle Creek, there's really no lake access. And then Upper Blue Lake, while maybe a nicer campsite, most of the campsites are away from the lake. You actually have to go to the campground. There is no dispersed camping around either of these two lakes. The other thing we did is we went and checked out Tamarack Lake, and then went up to check out Lower Sunset Lake. Tamarack Lake has a nice little drive around. There's quite a few dispersed camping sites like right on the lake. It's not as pretty as I would say Lower Blue Lake is, but it's a nice lake to camp out at, and there were several vehicles there when we were there. Lower Sunset Lake really has only, from what I could tell, maybe 2 or 3 dispersed camping sites. There is one site that you can actually get down to the lake at, and then a camping site over here on the other side of the lake. And there's a lot of tracks to check out up here, so this is definitely an area I will be coming back to. Now, if you're looking at the map, you're going to say, hey, this looks like a really cool road here going through Deer Valley down to 4, right? From what I've heard from people that I know, this road is very rough. So if you're looking for an adventure, really want to flex your rigs, then I would say go for it. We did not go down this road. I'm just not a rock crawler. Maybe at some point I'll go as far and check it out, but I did hear it is pretty rough, so just take that with a grain of salt, coming from a non-rock crawler. Alright, so that's the route, and it's about 3.5 hours from the Bay Area, so really worth a check out. So overall, most of the roads that we were on were good. I would say as long as you have 4-wheel drive, you're going to be fine. Again, I'm not going to be an advocate of all-wheel drive. I'm going to say if you have 4-wheel drive. The lower Blue Lake, people were out there with paddle boards, their kayaks, canoes, a very popular, at least from what we observed, fishing area. And then Tamarack Lake, again, the same thing. You could take your paddleboard, kayak, inflatable, and hang out on the water. And I could definitely see that in months where it's warm and hot, this area is going to be absolutely amazing. Now, if you have a couple days, there are tons of trails you can go explore. And if you want to like test your rig, then definitely there are areas for you to do that as well. While we were up there, we did see, you know, other 4x4s or overlanders, right? There were people with trailers, so I definitely think at least on the main trails you could get a trailer in. The other thing we saw while we were up there was mountain bikers, so I'm sure there's tons of mountain bike trails. If that is something that you're also interested in, whether it's, you know, pedal bike or electric, I'm sure either are going to be fine. Now the other thing, and I'm sure you've picked this up in my other videos, is I'm really interested in early immigrant history, early people's history, regardless of whether it's California or other states, right? And this lake chain is actually right near another lake called Red Lake. Now, Red Lake, you saw on the map, it was one of the lakes we came by to check out the trails. And now there's a couple interesting things near Red Lake. Near Red Lake, there's a thing, I think it's called the Devil's Staircase. This is a real easy hike to go up to, and if you've never seen wagon wheel, the carved out rock where they brought the wagons through, then Devil's Staircase is definitely somewhere you should go check out. It's not a bad hike to get to the staircase, and it's really where they had to bring the wagons through. They would dismantle the wagons, carry them up, and then put the wagons back together again and go on their way, right? So Red Lake is where they would provision up, you know, let their animals rest before, you know, kind of this big push over the Sierras. So the Carson Immigrant Trail actually came through this area. And again, you can see, you know, interesting place names on Gaia, which, you know, is always a clue that maybe there was something kind of interesting going on in that area. Now this is us coming up to Tamarack Lake. So there's just a little rock pile that you got to kind of navigate over. But once you navigate over that, then the trail kind of snakes around over by the lake. And as far as I know, it's totally fine, you know, as long as you park, you know, camp within so many feet of the water. You can camp, you know, kind of right along this lake. The only thing I would warn you though is that there are some areas that are really muddy, so, you know, be respectful, tread lightly, stay on the already established trail, and do not get or try to avoid at least getting your rig stuck. The other thing that is easily accessible from any of the trails on the north side of the lakes is the Pacific Crest Trail. We actually ran into a couple hikers that were hiking the trail. If you wanted to like camp and then go hike the trail, you definitely could, just to kind of check it out. Now this is Upper Blue Lake. It's not as pretty as Lower Blue Lake. It's a little bit more rocky around the lake shore, unlike Lower Blue Lake, which has those kind of nice granite outcroppings that are really picturesque. But again, it is a pretty lake, and if you're into fishing, then I would really recommend you heading up there. Now this is heading up to Upper Blue Lake Campground, and when you get to kind of the fork in the road, the right goes up to the trail that I was talking about that looked a little rough, that we didn't go up from this point. I think the next time I go, I want to come down it and check it out. Again, it has a big warning, 4x4, road not maintained past this point. And based on feedback I have received from people that have done it recently, it is pretty good from the top coming down. And again, like Deer Valley Road, it's kind of rough in maybe the last mile or two sections. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe. Go get outside, get your rig, go have a great time, and I'll see you down the trail.